What kind of person still wears clothes they wore 10 years ago? Hey, let me ask you something. How often do you look at someone's outfit and think, that's so last season? We live in a world where trends come and go faster than your favorite show on Netflix can drop a new season. Social media is flooded with influencers flaunting the latest sneakers, designer bags, or must-have jeans. Everything screams new, new, new. But here's the real kicker. Some people, maybe someone you know, maybe even you, are still rocking clothes they bought 10 years ago. Yes, a whole decade. A time when hashtags were still kinda new, TikTok wasn't even a thing, and everyone was obsessed with skinny jeans. And yet, here we are in this fast-moving world, and these individuals are walking around, unfazed, wearing what some might call outdated or vintage. Before you roll your eyes or assume this is some kind of commentary on laziness or being out of touch, let me tell you, it's not. In fact, the kind of person who wears clothes from 10 years ago might just have life figured out better than the rest of us. They're not caught in the endless loop of buy, discard, repeat. They've got something deeper going on. Something about resilience, character, and maybe even a touch of rebellion. Picture this. You're scrolling through your phone, maybe on Instagram or TikTok, and you see your favorite influencer rocking an outfit you just have to have. You swipe up, add it to your cart, and before you know it, you've bought it. Fast forward a few months. That once trendy piece is now stuffed at the back of your closet, buried under other must-have items you've barely worn. Sound familiar? You're not alone. This is what the fashion industry wants us to do. They thrive on it. Every season they churn out something new, convincing us that what we already have isn't good enough. Most of us play along. But not them. The ones who aren't caught up in the game. The ones still rocking those worn-in jeans from college or the jacket that's been through more winters than they can count. These people don't care about what's trending. They care about what's theirs. There's something refreshing, maybe even inspiring about that. Who are they? What makes someone hold on to their clothes for a decade when the world is telling them to let go? Are they frugal? Sentimental? Practical? Or is it something deeper, like a quiet confidence that doesn't need the approval of society's ever-changing standards? What can we learn from them? Fashion is about more than just looking good. It's about self-expression, identity, and sometimes even the stories we carry. Those old clothes might be saying something far more meaningful than we realize. We're going to break this down. We're going to explore the psychology, the stories, and yes, even the style behind this phenomenon. By the end of this journey, you might just see that old hoodie in your closet a little differently. You might even feel inspired to wear it again. Number 1. A reflection on fashion and time. Fashion is an ever-moving target. What's in today is out tomorrow, and the cycle repeats endlessly. Designers roll out collections seasonally, influencers unbox new essentials weekly, and social media algorithms reward you for staying ahead of the curve. It's a game, and most of us are players, chasing the high of feeling relevant, stylish, and noticed. But there's a flip side to this fast-paced world, a group of people who've quietly stepped off the fashion treadmill. These are the people who still wear clothes they bought 10 years ago. Maybe it's a classic leather jacket, a trusty pair of boots, or a beloved band t-shirt. They're not clinging to trends. They're not trying to prove anything. They're just living their lives in clothes that have stood the test of time. Think about this for a moment. What does it take to keep wearing something for a decade? It's not just about durability. It's about a connection, something personal, something that goes beyond the label on the tag. Maybe it's the way those clothes make them feel. Maybe it's the memories attached to them. Or maybe it's a reflection of their values, a quiet statement in a world that always demands more. Now let's get personal. Look at your own wardrobe. How many items do you own that are older than 5 years? How about 10? If you have even one piece, chances are it holds a special place in your life. Maybe it's the jacket you wore on your first road trip. Maybe it's the sweater that kept you warm on countless chilly nights. Or maybe it's just the perfect pair of jeans, the ones that fit you like they were made for you and never let you down. Those clothes aren't just fabric, they're stories. They're pieces of you. The people who still wear their 10-year-old clothes, they get this on a deep level. They understand that fashion isn't just about looking good. It's about feeling good. It's about the comfort of familiarity, the pride of durability, and the joy of wearing something that feels like an extension of yourself. And in a world that tells us to keep up or risk falling behind, they're proof that sometimes standing still is the most powerful choice of all. Number 2, the sentimentalist. Let's talk about the sentimentalist. You've probably met one, or maybe you are one. For the sentimentalist, clothes are far more than just outfits. They're memory keepers, time capsules, and personal artifacts. Every piece has a story. That frayed hoodie. It might be from college, a gift from a roommate who's now halfway across the world. That vintage band tee. It's from the concert that changed their life, the night they felt invincible, standing shoulder to shoulder with strangers who sang along to every word. The faded jeans with a tear in the knee, those are from the road trip where they laughed until they cried, got lost on winding roads, and found themselves in the process. For sentimentalists, letting go of these items feels like letting go of the memories they hold. They're not just clothes. They're anchors to moments that shaped them. Sure, they could buy something new, but what new jacket could ever replicate the feeling of slipping on one that's been with you through thick and thin? What new pair of sneakers could ever match the comfort of the ones that carried you through your greatest adventures? The sentimentalist's wardrobe is a mosaic of their life. It's not about trends, labels, or how others perceive them. It's about connection, to the past, to themselves, and to the people who've been part of their journey. In a world obsessed with moving forward, they remind us of the beauty of looking back. When you think about it, there's something profoundly human about this. We're creatures of memory, after all. We save photographs, we revisit old songs, and we tell the same stories over and over again. Why wouldn't we do the same with our clothes? The sentimentalist teaches us that sometimes holding on to the past isn't a weakness. It's a strength. It's a way of saying, this mattered to me. This shaped me. And I'm not ready to let it go. So the next time you see someone wearing a 10-year-old jacket or pair of sneakers, don't judge them. Instead, think about the story behind those clothes. Think about what they've been through together. And then, maybe, think about the stories your own clothes could tell if they had the chance. Number 3, the practicalist. Let's shift gears and talk about the practicalist. This is the person who looks at their wardrobe not as a canvas for self-expression or nostalgia, but as a collection of tools that get the job done. They don't care about fleeting trends or seasonal colors. For them, clothes are an investment, plain and simple. If something fits well, feels comfortable, and serves its purpose, why replace it? The practicalist sees through the noise of the fashion industry. They're immune to the lure of constant newness. They're the kind of person who looks at a jacket and asks, does it keep me warm? Or a pair of boots and wonders, will these last through another winter? If the answer is yes, there's no reason to shop for something else. This perspective might not sound glamorous, but there's an understated wisdom to it. Think about how much waste could be avoided if everyone thought this way. Fast fashion thrives on overconsumption, on convincing us that what we own is never enough. But the practicalist? They disrupt that cycle. They wear their clothes for years, even decades, simply because they work. Practicalists also prioritize quality over quantity. They'd rather spend more on a well-made coat that lasts a decade than buy a cheap one that falls apart after a season. This mindset isn't just good for their wallets, it's good for the planet. Every year, millions of tons of clothing end up in landfills, much of it barely worn. By choosing durability, practicalists are making a quiet yet impactful statement against this culture of disposability. Here's the beauty of their approach. It's not about making a statement, but it ends up being one anyway. In a world that constantly tells us we need more, practicalists remind us that sometimes what we already have is more than enough. They embody the saying, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." And in doing so, they live with a kind of clarity and focus that's rare in today's fast-paced, consumer-driven world. Number 4. The nostalgia enthusiast. Now let's talk about the nostalgia enthusiast, the person who holds onto their clothes not just because they work or because they're meaningful, but because they're a portal to another time. For these individuals, fashion is about more than practicality or self-expression. It's about emotion. Imagine opening your closet and seeing a dress you wore to your high school prom, a jacket from your first job interview, or a pair of shoes you wore on your first date. For the nostalgia enthusiast, these aren't just pieces of clothing, they're time machines. Each one carries a feeling, a moment, a slice of their life. And every time they put those clothes on, they get to relive those moments. There's a kind of magic in this. Nostalgia enthusiasts know that fashion isn't just about what looks good, it's about what feels good. That's why they're unbothered by the latest trends. They don't care if their favorite band tee is faded or if their jeans are a little worn at the seams. Those imperfections aren't flaws. They're proof of a life well lived. This isn't just about individual memories, though. Nostalgia enthusiasts often connect their clothes to broader cultural moments. They might wear a jacket from a time when grunge ruled the airwaves, or a dress that nods to the elegance of the early 2000s. By doing so, they carry a piece of history with them, a reminder of how far they've come and where they've been. What makes nostalgia enthusiasts so inspiring is their ability to find joy in the past without being trapped by it. They're not trying to live in another time, they're celebrating it. They understand that life moves quickly and that the best way to hold on to the good moments is to wear them, literally, on their sleeves. The nostalgia enthusiast reminds us that fashion isn't just about looking forward. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is look back, embrace where you've been, and carry those moments with you as you move ahead. Number 5. The timeless style maven. Next up is the timeless style maven. This person doesn't follow trends, they outlast them. Their wardrobe is carefully curated, filled with pieces that transcend the whims of fashion. A well-tailored blazer, a crisp white shirt, a sturdy pair of leather boots. These are the staples they rely on, year after year. For the timeless style maven, fashion isn't about chasing what's in. It's about embracing what's classic. They invest in quality pieces that never go out of style, choosing craftsmanship over flashiness. They're the kind of person who would rather own one perfectly made coat than 10 trendy ones that fall apart within a season. What sets them apart is their confidence. While others scramble to keep up with trends, the timeless style maven stays rooted in their personal aesthetic. They know what works for them, and they stick to it. This isn't out of stubbornness, it's out of a deep understanding of their identity. Their clothes don't just look good, they feel like an extension of who they are. There's also a certain elegance to their approach. In a world of fast fashion, their choices are deliberate and thoughtful. They remind us that true style isn't about having the latest thing. It's about knowing yourself. Their wardrobe is proof that less really can be more, and that authenticity is always in fashion. The timeless style Maven teaches us an important lesson. Trends come and go, but confidence is forever. And when you wear something that makes you feel like the best version of yourself, it doesn't matter how old it is, it will always look fresh. Number 6. The rebel against consumerism. The rebel against consumerism is a force to be reckoned with. This is the person who looks at the fashion industry and says, "No thanks." They refuse to be swept up in the culture of constant consumption. For them, wearing clothes from 10 years ago is more than a practical choice. It's a statement. This rebellion isn't loud or flashy. It's quiet, intentional, and powerful. By wearing their old clothes, they're rejecting the idea that they need to buy something new to be valued. They're pushing back against a system that profits from making people feel inadequate. Their clothes become symbols of resistance, proof that you don't need to conform to societal pressures to be happy or fulfilled. The rebel against consumerism also sees the bigger picture. They're aware of the environmental impact of fast fashion, the waste, the pollution, the exploitation. By choosing to wear what they already own, they're reducing their footprint and setting an example for others. What's fascinating about this group is their creativity. They don't see their older clothes as limitations. They see them as opportunities. They might upcycle an old dress, patch up a worn pair of jeans, or mix and match in ways that feel entirely new. For them, fashion isn't about following the rules. It's about breaking them in the best possible way. In a world that constantly tells us to want more, the rebel against consumerism reminds us of the power of wanting less. They show us that true freedom comes from stepping off the hamster wheel of consumption and finding contentment in what we already have. Lessons from the clothes that last. What can we learn from the people who still wear clothes they bought 10 years ago? A lot, actually. Their choices challenge the status quo and offer a different way of thinking about fashion, identity, and life itself. The Sentimentalist teaches us the value of memories. The Practicalist reminds us to focus on function and durability. The Nostalgia Enthusiast shows us the beauty of looking back. The timeless style Maven proves that confidence never goes out of style. And the rebel against consumerism inspires us to question the system and embrace what we already have. Together, these individuals paint a picture of what it means to live authentically. They're not swayed by trends or pressured by societal expectations. They know who they are, and they let their clothes tell that story. In a world obsessed with newness, they remind us that sometimes the best things are the ones that have been with us all along. So, the next time you see someone rocking an outfit from 10 years ago, take a moment to think about what that says about them, and maybe what it could say about you. After all, fashion isn't just about what we wear. It's about who we are.